Okay, thank you.
(5:30), I am calling the July 12th, 2022 Modesto City Council meeting to order and ask the city clerk to call the roll.
Councilmember Ricky,
Present.
Councilmember Canoyer,
Present.
Vice Mayor Wright,
Here.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton,
Here.
Councilmember Madrigal. Is he on Zoom?
He's coming.
Here.
And Mayor Zwallen.
Here. Will everyone please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance, followed by the invocation from Reverend Scott Elliott from Big Valley Grace. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Please join me as we pray. Heavenly Father, I thank you so much for the city of Modesto. I thank you for all the people that live here and work here and contribute to really making our city a great place for families. We pray for those that are, the kids that are on summer vacation right now, that they would continue to be safe and to enjoy their time with family this summer. We pray for those who are in difficult circumstances right now, that they would find help and solutions that they need to be able to thrive here. I pray for each council member tonight. Would they have great patience as they listen, and would they have great eyes to see the people in front of them and ears to hear the things that they are passionate about and that have been put on their heart to share. We pray that there would be great wisdom in decisions that are made, in plans that are proposed, things that are brought forward, so that altogether everything that is done would help to contribute to making this city a great place for people to live and to work and really to thrive here. And so we pray your blessing on all that is said tonight, all that is done. Would people be courteous towards one another and kind as they listen, and would tonight be a great evening in the city of Modesto. And I pray this in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank you. Does the city clerk have any announcements?
Yes, Mayor. Email correspondence for the public comment period was received and forwarded to the council. Also, the nomination period for the November 8th general municipal election opens on Monday, July 18th for council seats 2, 4, and 5. Individuals interested in running for city council are encouraged to contact the city clerk's office. Thank you.
Thank you. Do any of the council members have any conflicts of interest? All right. Seeing none, will the city attorney report out on closed session?
Yes, Mayor. The council met today in closed session to discuss several items. There was a performance review and existing litigation items, and also an item related to property negotiations. No reportable action was taken.
Thank you very much. Next, we will go to item 1, acknowledgements and presentations. This is a presentation of proclamation proclaiming July 26, 2022 as Americans with Disabilities Act Awareness Day. The American with Disabilities Act, the ADA, was signed into law on July 26, 1990, establishing a clear and comprehensive national mandate for the elimination of discrimination to ensure the civil rights of people with disabilities. And the ADA has expanded opportunities for Americans with disabilities by reducing barriers, changing perceptions, and increasing opportunities for full participation and inclusion in community life. and continued commitment to the principles of the ADA is necessary to help individuals with disabilities reach their full potential. And on July 26, 2022, our city, state, and nation will commemorate the 32nd anniversary of the Americans with Disabilities Act, recognizing and celebrating the progress that has been made. And the City of Modesto encourages people to reaffirm the principles of equality and inclusion laid out in the ADA and recommit our efforts to reach full ADA compliance so that every person in our city has the opportunity to succeed. Now, therefore, I, Suze Wallen, Mayor of the City of Modesto, do hereby proclaim July 26, 2022 in the City of Modesto as Americans with Disabilities Act Awareness Day. We have Kathy Mendoza, Executive Director with the Society for Disabilities. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mayor Sue. Thank you to the council for recognizing this important milestone for people with disabilities, and we want to thank you for acknowledging us as we represent the many, many organizations in this area who work to make our atmosphere, our society, and our community more inclusive for people of all abilities. So thank you.
You're very welcome. We'll come down and present the proclamation and take a photo. Thank you for being here.
How are you? Thank you. No, thank you. Thank you so much.
All right. Item 2 is a proclamation proclaiming August 2nd, 2022 as National Night Out. The National Association of Town Watch is sponsoring a unique nationwide crime, drug, and violence prevention program on August 2nd, 2022 entitled National Night Out. The 39th annual National Night Out provides a unique opportunity for the City of Modesto to join forces with thousands of other communities across the country in promoting cooperative police community crime prevention efforts. The Modesto Police Department's Neighborhood Watch program plays a vital role in assisting the City of Modesto through joint crime, drug, and violence prevention efforts and supporting National Night Out 2022 locally. It is essential all citizens of the City of Modesto be aware of the importance of crime prevention programs and impact that their participation can have on reducing crime, drugs, and violence in the City of Modesto. Police community partnerships, neighborhood safety, awareness, and cooperation are important themes of the National Night Out program. Now, therefore, I, Mayor Suze Wallen, do hereby proclaim Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022 as National Night Out in the City of Modesto and call upon all citizens of Modesto to join the National Association of Town Watch in supporting the 39th Annual National Night Out on Tuesday, August 2nd, 2022. And tonight we have Lieutenant Kleiber and Lauren Galvez, Community Service Officer. Welcome.
Thank you, Mayor. And Council, this will be our 22nd National Night Out here in the City of Modesto. We've actually finished number 1 in the state 18 of those years for cities of our size, and we've actually finished first nationally 5 years. And so we're going to hope to do more of the same this year. Lauren has set up 75 parties throughout the city so far, and there's still time, not much, but there still is some time if others want to join. They can contact Lauren or myself, Brian Kleiber, and we can facilitate that. So very excited about it, and we're looking forward to it. Thank you for the time, Mayor. We really appreciate it.
You're very welcome, and we will step down to present this to you. and take a photo. Great. Great. Welcome, everyone. We all fit? Should we do anything? Tell us. Get closer. We need to get closer, Chris.
Send it like each other. All right. All right. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3.
Can't wait to wherever you put me. Sounds good.
Hey, Brian. I had a quick question. It's all right.
I needed to do that. Right, Councilmember Ricky had a question.
Hey, Brian. I just had a quick question. If someone wanted to sign up for to do a night out party, how would they do that? Is there like a link or something they can sign up for?
Yeah, they can get a hold of, probably the easiest way to do it, especially at this point, since we're getting so close, would be to contact Cesar Galvez or myself. So they could email me at kleiberb@modestopd.com.
There's also a link on the City of Modesto website. You can actually Google National Night Out, City of Modesto.
That's
and
perfect.
it
That's
takes
what
you
I'm
to the
looking
link.
for. Thank you so much.
Okay, and just a quick, also apology that you had to be called back. I even have on my notice from our new clerk, she put to ask for council member remarks, and I did not do that. So I apologize to my fellow council members.
Sure.
We should have done that in the proper order, and then we wouldn't have to be waiting you to come back.
So
But thank
totally-
you very
totally.
much.
We're human.
Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thanks. All right, next on to public comment period. Does anyone wish to speak on any item under public comment? And this is for items not on the council agenda. Each person has 3 minutes to speak. And I have 3 cards regarding this time period for public comment period. One is Louisa Bryant. Good evening, welcome.
May I ask for 4 minutes because everything is important that I'm going to say, okay? If that would be all right with the members. This is my 4th appearance before the members of the City Council, and also includes a meeting I had on June 22nd with 3 members of the City of Modesto's government officers. On all these meetings, I have pleaded with the council to have the Office of the Building Inspector to remove a fraudulent mold inspection report that was submitted to the city by the owners of my rental unit on March 22nd, 22. Although this report was obviously and undeniably false, personnel at the building inspector's office continued to refer to it as an acceptable report, all the while resisting my appeals for the city to inspect my home for extremely elevated levels of mold spores and dangerous structural damages, thus breaching an implied warranty of habitability. For the original city copy of my case, well, I won't the number, the inspectors describe on February 15th, quote, "There is wet, rotten wood under patio, unsafe. Quote, inspection result failed. Copy of this case number details was printed on February 22nd. This is important because when the partial list of documents that were provided to me after I pursued a public records request, I received a different and dissimilar copy of the same case number, which describes the case as, quote, repaired balcony above patio apartment 120 without permit mold. These documents were printed on June 22nd, 22, and did not include the original case details I spoke of. Is this even legal? Most importantly, I ask, where are the missing copies of one, the prepared draft notice and order dated June 14th, which I believe ordered the owners to inspect and repair the patio and the balcony above the unit 120 for water damage. I'm sorry, this breathing is one of the problems here. The missing copy of the email, number 2 is the missing copy of an email sent to the Deputy District Attorney on June 21st, requesting guidance on this notice order. And number 3, the missing copy of meeting with Director and the Deputy District Attorney dated June 10th to discuss health and safety codes regarding mold. I now appeal to the council to instruct the inspectors and the owners to, this is very important, to complete these repairs before my health and safety are put in further danger. The unsafe wet rotten wood under the patio was never inspected, corrected, or repaired by the owners, although the owners were sent by the city a notice of violation on March 7th and instructed to, quote, obtain a permit for the repair of the balcony above Unit 120, and they were cited for 2 violations. Although these violations were to be corrected within 10 days of the date of the notice, and I repeat, this combination of structural damage and black mold has never had any corrective actions taken by the owners of the city, the owners or the City of Modesto since the original inspection on February 15th. And that's up to and including today. I am living with this dangerous situation. To complicate matters further, when I questioned the participants at the meeting on June 22nd as to why the City of Modesto building inspectors did not bring air sampling instruments to the inspection, I was told the inspector is only required to do a visible review. And they all also added that this requirement was documented in a state code. I then requested a copy of this state code. I was provided with 3 copies of different state codes, none of which mentioned visible only. I'm still waiting. During the meeting on June 22nd, I continued to question the possible criminal aspects of this fraudulent mold report and how and when the owners would be charged with submitting this false report to the city. At that time, I was told that would be my responsibility, not the city's. I was advised that for criminal charges, I would have to contact the Sheriff's Department Civil Division. I did travel to the Sheriff's Department, but was told by the dispatcher over the phone that I had to make my report to the Modesto Police Department Criminal Division. I then went to the police department in Modesto, but they were also closed. But a kindly and busy dispatcher took my information over the phone and gave me a police case number. After 5 months of impassioned pleas to have this false mold report removed from my case file, and that time included the June 22nd meeting, I find that among the documents provided to me on July 5th, there is no official record of a mold inspection report dated March 22nd, although many people have copies of this repairs. We now have a non-existent document that has been mysteriously erased from my file, and a police report that I will have to prove is authentic and valid. There are many questions that have to be answered concerning the accuracy and completeness of this report. For example, there are at least 11 attachments for June 21st in my case file that was given to me. Yet there is absolutely no recording of my meeting with the city officials on June 22nd, which lasted well over an hour. I believe this important and informative meeting should be officially recorded for further review and discussion. Other incidents in this documents that are missing, I can provide, can do at a later date. Thank you for extending my time, and I would like to remind, I'm doing this all on my own. I would like to remind the council, I'm 86 years old, and at this point, my odds of reaching 87, I don't look that good. I need your help. I'm living in a dangerous situation, and I think I can explain that. Structural damage and mold, highly elevated. I guess I missed a page here because I'm not telling you that, so I must have missed a page. Anyway, okay, I missed it. Okay, anyway, please help me because I can't take any more. I'm still living because I cannot, the owners say, okay, we'll move you to another apartment, but you're not going to pay for the move. I can't afford the move, but even so, I'm not going to knock everything out. But if I take the move and pay for it, they say there's no mold, and I have no proof. And I've been.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm sorry. Thank you so very much. But please help me as soon as possible because I can't, especially with this breathing problem and the mold exposure. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Online, we have Darlene Ruiz.
Good evening, City Council. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm calling on behalf of Dylan Harvey, who was having a mental health crisis on the 4th of July. His family called 911 to get help. Dylan had stopped taking his medicine for a couple days and he was having a manic episode. The officers spoke to the dad and got Dylan outside. Dylan's dad asked before they took Dylan, could he get his son his medication. For unknown reasons, the officer would not let the dad, who was calm and compliant with the officers, retrieve the medicine. This officer thought it would be best that the person having a mental crisis go into the home where he had knives and unrestrained and ordered him to get the medicine. Again, improper training by the police officers. And now they want to charge this terrified young man that is mentally unstable, that won't even leave his home, with attempted murder charges. Dylan was shot twice and possibly facing murder charges because he was having a mental crisis. Where was our chat or MCERT programs? I'm saddened that someone else's child in our community has been shot because they trusted to call 911 for help. Mental crisis should not be a death sentence. Our 911 operators need to be trained to field these calls. We need a mental crisis trained professional to assist in mental crisis calls, to de-escalate and not shoot the person in crisis. We need the city to implement an emergency response team. Chief Gillespie needs to hold a press conference and release the body cam video to the public. We need our government officers to be transparent and show our community we can trust you. Show us that this Forward Together committee that we've been working on for over a year is going to make real change and we could stop civilians getting killed. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next we have Ron Deloach. Pardon me? Let me go first. Okay, all right. Perfecto Munoz? Welcome.
Thank you. Yes, my name is Perfecto Munoz, and I'm the Executive Director for the West Modesto Community Collaborative, and also very involved with a project we have at our organization called Community Builders Project, Community Engagement and Advocacy. One of the things that this group has been discussing is really the housing issue that we face in West Modesto. The crisis is becoming more apparent. Rent is becoming unaffordable, and we find that many of the families there are multiplying in clusters homes with friends and relatives, and some are even living in garages. With this kind of heat, you can imagine what it must be like. We feel that the city needs to begin to address this problem. The issue of having this problem has been an ongoing. We all know the problem of rent. We also know that many of the families there who could afford to buy a home in West Modesto are priced out because investors come in and pay for those homes, and then they turn around and rent them for a higher price. And that, again, is a serious problem. As you may know, there's been a lot of studies related to the topic of housing and rent, not only by the city, but by the county. And there's got to be a point where everybody needs to begin to start discussing this issue. I know that you probably have, in some ways, addressed this problem, but at the same time, you need to be able to advocate and begin to develop a plan. We at the West Modesto Community Collaborative are willing to begin to bring community together to address this issue. We've already had 5 meetings on this topic of housing. We brought in a consultant from the University of Southern California, Dr. Manuel Pastor, to address the issues that we faced in housing there at in West and South Modesto. And I think that if you can just gravitate to the issue and begin to develop a plan on how we can help you. I think the most important thing is that the families need to be part of the discussion. In other words, they need to be part at the table with you to share their concerns and to be able to address what's important for them and how we can work together collectively, because that's what we did in the past. We worked collectively with the city, and we accomplished great things at the collaborative office. And we hope that by working with you as a group and whoever you appoint as a designated point person, that we might be able to better serve the needs of the community as it relates to housing. So that's my presentation. It's short. I had a lot more, but I didn't realize I was limited to 3 minutes. So next time. Thank you.
Thank you. All right. Online, we have Ramon Rodriguez.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, and everyone can hear me?
Yes, we can.
I'm here to speak about the Dylan Harvey incident because I'm concerned that this is still ongoing. The police violence against people who are suffering mental health issues and crisis. And I guess the police department hasn't learned a lesson since the Trevor Seaver incident. I'm shocked, sad, and angry that Dylan is facing the attempted murder on a peace officer charge simply because he had a mental health crisis. And also, there was incompetence or botched response from the officer, which I find it really ironic and coincidence that this officer is part of the SWAT team. And also he is buddies with disgraced cop Joseph Lamatia, who also killed numerous people who had mental health crisis. And I've been warning about this ever since they have a police officer's presence when they respond to a mental health crisis call, because, and there are studies, numerous times people pointed out that having a police officer in the presence of a situation like this, what happened to Dylan, that increases chances that they'll get a confrontation or make a person fear the police, and that will end up in use of force that could ultimately lead to injuries or death to the victim suffering the crisis. We have seen this in Loveland, Colorado, with a woman with a dementia and also a 19-year-old man with special needs, developmental disabilities, and also in Las Cruces, New Mexico, on a 75-year-old woman with dementia. And she also died because she does of her dementia. So honestly, this is God to end. And I spoke to the county board of supervisors meeting that Chad, that these programs for mental health crisis and other alternatives to police calls should be reached to the public and letting the public know that there are alternatives, because this is getting out of hand. And to let this happen, there's going to be more victims, especially with mental health issues. This got to stop. We need to implement Chad. We need to implement the alternatives to police, because it is time that this puts an end right now. And that's all I have to say. Thank you.
You're welcome. Next, we have Ron Deloach in person.
Good morning, Council, Ms. Mayor. I'm here representing the West Modesto People of Action Council, which I'm the chairman. I'm also here in conjunction with the West Modesto Community Collaborative. And tonight I'm here representing the NAACP Housing Committee. And our subject matter is the 54 acres, 9-hole golf course on Tuolumne. We have 15,000 families in West Modesto that need housing. And that's a number that is frightening, because we have people, just like Mr. Muniz said, that are living in people's garages, that are sharing bedrooms with other families. And we also are seeing people are starting to pitch tents outside of residents' homes, so that we know it's a real crisis. For one, the rent is outrageous. That can be handled with possibly rent control. But the idea of others sharing bedrooms with other families, that's unthinkable. And what we'd like to do is see more things happen. We need decisions on the golf course. You know, there's been so much talk about what we should do. And the logical thing is, with 54 acres, we can do an awful lot to help the people that need housing here in West Modesto. And because of the severity of this issue, we're going to have a representative at every one of the city council meetings, so that it's not swept under the rug. We want this to be in the forefront of everyone's mind when it comes to housing in West Modesto. I've talked to a number of you individually, and you all seem to know the severity of the issue. It's all about what to do about it now. We have so many horror stories from residents about having to live under these conditions, that we need to do something. We can't just let them keep living like this. It's a real problem. And I really appreciate you listening. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. All right. Online, we have Steve.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
I just want to start off by saying thank you to the council for having the decency to allow that first speaker, allow her to have extra time to talk about the conditions that she's being forced to live in. And I just wanted to echo the two gentlemen that talked about the dire need in this community for affordable housing. And I'm noticing a theme. There's meetings where it's dominated by you guys congratulating each other, or you have some developer or investor come in and everyone seems so damn happy. And then I see this other thread, which leads to the reason that I'm calling tonight as well. But I do want to just kind of echo and agree with those two gentlemen. We need something to be done, and a lot of us are tired of you just making us feel like we don't matter because we're not investors or developers or what have you. But I'm here because the Modesto Police Department has failed this community again, and has done so in a completely avoidable, unnecessary fashion, and in a fashion that they have done so in the past. I would insist, if I thought you gave a good goddamn what anyone like me thinks, I would insist that you speak with whomever you need to speak with at the DA's office and have those charges dropped against that poor young man. It seems very evident from the information that we do know that Mertz acted irresponsibly and perhaps even, willfully so. I have no idea how, after everything that we know, they could go in there and handle the situation that way. I just want to leave you with two more thoughts. This city deserves every last bit of the video footage from that incident involving Officer Mertz shooting Dylan Harvey, every last relevant bit to be released now, tomorrow morning. It is disgusting to me. How in the world can we talk about accountability and trust in these Forward Together meetings when there is another situation that arises that is like practically a perfect model for those discussions, but unfortunately involves real lives? And then this is a perfect opportunity for you to show that you want to be held accountable, like you keep saying. You guys should not be consulting a firm in the meantime. You shouldn't be talking to a PR firm right now to figure out how to protect your own ass. You should be releasing all of that footage. You should have already done it. If you have nothing to hide, then you don't need all this extra time to build up your narrative and to construct your whole plan of attack. Release the footage now. And lastly, it has been about a year since the president of the Modesto chapter of the Proud Boys hijacked, along with his cronies, hijacked your chambers. You did not do your job. During that meeting, Sean Kuykendall stated that the Proud Boys have many friends at MPD. And I've asked Brandon Gillespie, I don't even know how many times, to say whether or not this is true. Given that that organization commits violence all the time, given that that organization has been declared a terrorist organization in 2 other countries, I think it's disgusting that Brandon can't just come out and say, no, that we don't have Proud Boys at our police department. We don't send Proud Boys out with a badge and a gun. But you know what? He won't. And I want to know why. And I want to hear his answer. And I want to know how many officers are affiliated with the Proud Boys, are affiliated with 3%ers, are affiliated with Central Valley Patriots, or any and all of those disgusting, hateful far-right groups. And it needs to happen now. If you want accountability, if you want transparency, if you don't want us to think you're lying to us, do so. Thank you.
Thank you. Next, we have Bianca Lopez.
Hi, good evening. Yes, I'm here to demand justice for Dylan Harvey, who was seriously injured after being shot by an MPD officer on 4th of July. When the first report was released about the shooting, we waited for more details. And when more details were released, we concluded, the community concluded that MPD failed the community. Where was the chat team? Where was the clinician, the mental health clinician that was to assist the Modesto Police Department? We demand that the chief of police hold a press conference and release the video footage of the shooting of Dylan Harvey immediately and with no more delay. We demand that the city implement an emergency response team also immediately to give the people who have little to no trust in the police department a little piece of hope. The officer who refused, from what we know on the report, that was, I'm not sure which news outlet that it was reported on, but the officer, according to the report, the officer who refused Dylan's dad to let Dylan's dad go back in the home to get Dylan's medicine seemed to be on a power trip, and he must be held accountable. How do you let Dylan go back to his home when you knew that his behavior was not stable? I can only say that it was a power trip of the Modesto Police Department officer who was in charge of the scene, who let him go back into the home to supposedly get his meds. That father should have been allowed to assist. And it really is just an unfortunate event, and Modesto Police Department must be held accountable, and they must be transparent. This Forward Together committee is just nonsense if you don't start giving the people information that we are demanding. And we will be demanding this over and over and over again until the chief release the footage and give us more details. Justice for Dylan Harvey. And yes, he may not have been killed, but he was not treated justly. Justice for Dylan Harvey. We need mental health protection. And the chat was not available. And if it was, then the chief needs to speak up and tell us what actually happened. We're not going to stay silent again. We're not going to allow this to happen in the community any longer. We will be demanding, and we will continue to demand until what we get has been given to the people. Justice for Dylan Harvey now. Justice delayed is justice denied. Justice delayed is justice denied. Chief, you need to step up and you need to give us the information now. Justice delayed is justice denied. Justice for Dylan Harvey now.
All right. Is there anyone else wishing to come forward to speak under public comment? All right. Welcome.
Madam Mayor, City Council members, ladies and gentlemen, and those people that called in and were here tonight, welcome to Modesto's brick wall of transparency. You know, on the 4th of July, we had a nice parade, but then we had the Central Valley Patriots. Now that's a group, and you can't trash them all. They hide behind the Second Amendment. That's what they're supposed to be about. But they're basically a Proud Boys organization. We saw the racist literature strewn around our city. We've heard consistent complaints. But more importantly, what we saw here the night that you announced Pride Month. Now, it was great to see those people come forward, had their banner, had their pictures taken. But what was sad, and nobody wanted to talk about, is that you had a council member on the property right behind that wall, Councilman J. David Wright, hiding, not willing to have his picture taken with those people. And you cooperated. You knew he was there. You allowed him to stay hidden. That's part of Modesto's wall, brick window of transparency. You know, it's a sad state of affairs, but it's not uncommon, at least not in Modesto, and that's the unfortunate part. You know, how long was former Councilman Zalaki not living in his district? Many of you, I'm not saying all of you, many of you were aware of the situation and took a blind eye towards it. You didn't care. It took a public record request to let you know that somebody on the outside knew that he was no longer in his district before you did anything. And then he came and resigned the same day, or at the next meeting, I should say. You know, if you weren't all in it pretty much together, it wouldn't be so sad. You know, it was kind of fitting in a way that the Board of Elders sent their own personal representative from the Bigot Valley Grace to make tonight's invocation. You know, I don't care if you don't like sometimes what I say, but it's the truth. We heard it when they had their own ballot box collections. You know, if you want to be a political player, pay your taxes. But they don't want to do things like that. Quickest fingers in the business, Scotty. Now, these people, this poor woman's come up at least 3 times that I know of and spoken to you, and we can't get anything resolved. Maybe now the bee finally woke up and is going to say something about it. Maybe that will help. I don't know her issue. I'll be honest. But you're not listening to what the people of Modesto are saying, or you would have paid more attention to Bianca when she called. The people deserve the right to see that footage, like they do all of it. If you're transparent, I mean, I'll give them, they were the only, let me put it this way. The police department were the only people that answered the questions that I asked a few weeks ago. The only people, and the gentleman called me up, and I'll make this quick. He called me up the following week, answered every question I could possibly, that I had. He was helpful. So, you know, but I couldn't remember his name because the introduction was real quick. So I called the city manager's office and left a request to talk to Scotty here, to get back to me to let me know his name so I could give him credit. There was no response, but the same day I sent an email asking that same information because I wanted to stand in front of you, or at least on Zoom, and give the man credit because he was the only one. I can't talk about the rest. I'll wait till the consent item. I thank you for your time, but please don't confuse transparency for a brick window, because I think you have.
Right, thank you. Anyone else wishing to address the council and the public? Welcome.
Thank you. Loretta Card. First of all, I'd like to make another statement about, because these people that have a mental problem, it's mainly because of a medicine. My own diagnosis of it is because at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, back in 1958, I was given a medicine that made me very sick. A few weeks ago, I myself stopped every darn bit of that medicine. They said for years I had epilepsy. I do not, but I do have a problem. But mine is from medicine. So I do believe a lot of these people, if someone would study it, would find out about that darn thing. But now, truthfully, what I came up here for is because I got Sears, well, I got 3 bids on getting a garage, roof put on my garage. All 3 bids were under $4,000. So I picked Sears. This was back in 2016, which I should never have done because they're the lousiest people in the USA. Anyway, they went ahead, started putting the roof on, not what I asked for, but started putting one on. And then I stated, quit it, it's not what I wanted. They did it anyway. Then they put it on my tax bills, the full price every single year since the year 2016. This year I did not pay it, and I will not pay it, and lots of people are coming at me again, which has happened over years, because I'm one of the few that bought my home, and I'm on very low income. I make less than $900 a month, and I own what could be a beautiful home, and to me it's a mansion. I was offered $850,000 cash for it, and I would not take it because I want the house to be an office for the handicapped, and I'm never going to quit. But by gollies, these people that are coming after these mental people need to be helped because a lot of them need to be off that darn medicine to where they won't go to mental problems.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that would like to come forward to speak under public comment? All right, I don't see anyone online or in person. So next on the agenda is consent items. An item may be removed from consent and discussed at the request of a member of the public or council member. Is there anyone on the council that would like a consent item removed for further discussion? All right. Is there anyone in the public that would like an item removed from consent for further discussion or comment? And we have one request to pull consent item number 9 from Emerson Drake. All right. Will the city clerk please read the consent items?
Yes, Mayor. Item 3, consider approving the minutes from the June 28th, 2022 council meeting. Item number 4, consider approving a resolution continuing to authorize remote teleconference meetings pursuant to AB 361. Item number 5, consider final adoption of ordinance 3746, approving adding Article 12 to Chapter 2 of Title 8 of the Modesto Municipal Code, imposing a transactions and use tax subject to voter approval. Item number 6, consider approving the recommended budget adjustments to fiscal year 2021-2022 annual operating and CIP budgets. Item number 7, consider accepting the monthly investment report for April 2022. Item number 8, consider approving an award of bid for the purchase of gate valves to Water Technology Resources out of Bloomington, Minnesota, for an amount not to exceed $64,564. Item number 9 was removed from consent. Item number 10, consider accepting an informational report on the March 10th and April 2022 grant applications and awards. Item number 11, consider authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute an agreement with Salida Fire Protection District for temporary fire chief services during negotiations of a full fire protection services agreement. Item number 12, consider amending the position allocation plan in 4 departments: police, HR, finance, and utilities. Item number 13, consider amending the agreement with Johnson's Controls from San Leandro, California for an updated security access system migration, increasing the not-to-exceed amount by $40,000 for additional parts and services that may be required through the life of the agreement for a new total amount not to exceed $255,884. Item number 14, consider accepting the Board of State and Community Corrections California Violence Intervention and Prevention Grant in the amount of $2,215,217 with a 100% match requirement, of which $514,592 is from the City of Modesto and $1,700,625 is from external subcontracts, for a total amount of $4,430,434. Item number 15, consider approving the Parks, Recreation, and Neighborhoods revised spending plan in accordance with the 2021 Modesto Forward Strategy for the use of ARPA funds in the amount of $500,000 for the Awesome Spot Playground, $750,000 for the Tuolumne River Economic Development Strategy, and $1,270,028 for park deferred maintenance, amending the fiscal year 2022-2023 CIP and non-capital project budgets to fund the projects as outlined in the ARPA 1 Phase 1 spending plan. Item 16, consider approving an agreement with Gallo Center of the Arts for a 2-year term retroactive to July 1st, 2022 through June 30th, 2024 for discounted employee parking in Lot 25 with annual parking permits to be paid on a quarterly basis. Item number 17, consider approving the First Amendment to the agreement for consulting services to Dixon Resources Unlimited from San Diego, California for the City of Modesto downtown parking infrastructure implementation plan, increasing the scope of services to include Task 2, Task 3 to increase the agreement amount by $183,051, including a 10% contingency from $26,970 for a new estimated total not to exceed the amount of $210,021. Item number 18, consider approving the extension of the compost facility flexible sales pricing pilot program approved on April 2nd, 2019, and extend for 1 additional year effective August 1st, 2022 through July 31st, 2023, with the option to extend for 2 additional years at the discretion of the city manager. Item 19, consider authorizing staff to apply for all Cal Recycle household hazardous waste grants, rescinding Resolution 2015-271, and authorizing the city manager or his designee to sign grant applications and related forms, accept the grant awards, and amend the budget as available. Item number 20, consider approving the awarded bid for furnishings of the digester cleaning services to wastewater solids at Yachats, Oregon for an estimated annual amount of $47,690 for a total amount not to exceed $322,663 over 5 years. Item number 21, consider approving the award of bid and agreement for pump efficiency testing services to Pump Efficient Testing Services LLC at Sebastopol, California for a 2-year agreement with 3 1-year extension options for an estimated annual amount of $40,000 and a total amount not to exceed $200,000 over 5 years. Item 22, consider approving the submittal of a grant application to the State Water Resources Control Board for the Proposition 1 Groundwater Grant Program Round 3 for the Modesto Municipal Groundwater Supply Contamination Prevention and Cleanup Project. Item number 23, consider approving a First Amendment to the agreement with CHW Enterprise, Inc., DBA Industrial Electrical Machinery out of Visalia, California, for the furnishings of electric motor rewind rebuild services, increasing the annual amount of $243,196 from $124,304 for a new estimated annual amount of $367,500 for a new total amount not to exceed $1,705,568 over 5 years. Item 24, consider approving a sole source purchase agreement with APG Neuros out of Blainville, Quebec, Canada for the procurement of flow meters and parts for an estimated annual amount of $150,000 and a total amount not to exceed $750,000 over 5 years. Item 25, consider accepting improvements for the Amtrak station roof and restroom renovation project as complete, authorizing all necessary steps to file with the county clerk recorder, releasing securities and releasing payments totaling $448,978 to Commercial Waterproofing Systems, DBA ERC Roofing and Waterproofing, Inc., out of Santa Ana, California. Item 26, consider accepting the street improvements southbound McHenry Avenue to westbound Briggsmore Avenue project as complete, authorizing all necessary steps to file with the county clerk recorder, releasing securities and releasing payments totaling $1,222,355 to George Green, Inc., out of Modesto. And item 27, consider approving and certifying an update to the City of Modesto Sewer and System Management Plan.
Move to approve all consent items except consent item number 9.
Second.
All right, I have a motion and a second. Will the city clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen?
Aye. Carries 6-0. Thank you very much. Next, we will go to item number 9 from consent that has been removed. For consideration, accepting an informational report for the May 2022 Accounts Payable Payment Register and Void Report. And we have Deanna Christensen. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council. Deanna Christensen, Director of Finance. This is our monthly informational report for the month of May to capture all of our vendor checks that have been issued for goods and services during the month of May. Any electronic payments that have been issued to vendors, as well as employee reimbursements, and any refunds that have been issued to our utility customers, business license customers. So I'm more than happy to answer any questions or any specific questions from the public.
All right, thank you. Any questions from council members on item 9? Seeing none, comments from the public?
Good evening again, Madam Mayor, members of the council. You know, I think we need to establish some rules here because you keep changing them. If I ask questions on this item, I've got a couple here I could ask you to pull up and explain to me why, like one billing's from December. But when I did that the last time, you said, no, give them to us all at once. So I rattled them off to you all at once. And then you said, oh, put them in writing because basically, but you didn't say it, we're not willing to answer it in public. Well, see, the whole point of these written communications, excuse me, the whole point of this informational report, I should put my glasses on to read, is to let the public know what's going on. And when we had questions a month ago about 6 invoices from December, I thought it was fair. We had questions about 3 invoices from 2020. I thought it was fair. The city attorney, it appeared to me, was writing down the questions, which I appreciate. But you, Madam Mayor, didn't allow him to respond. You didn't allow anybody to respond. You shut off the conversation, said move forward, put it in writing and go away. That's what you said. I was here to have some just informational questions answered. I don't think that's unreasonable. But you weren't willing. So how do we do it? How can the public hear your responses if you don't answer the questions we ask? I couldn't bring it up in public comment because you're not required to respond. You're not really required to respond here. We found that out a month ago, didn't we? So how are we going to do it? You know, I've been appearing for over 30 years off and on to this in front of this group. And never once was I denied a question. Don't get me wrong, you don't always like the answers you get, but never once was I denied a question, denied an answer to a question. But you shut it down. So I guess my question is, why do we meet for you to talk to us? Is it that brick window of transparency? Now, our friends at Myers-Nave had an invoice from December, one from March, and 7 from February. Now, I'm just curious, the contract says they're supposed to be submitting invoices every 30 days, within 30 days, or every 30 days. And if they don't, the city manager is supposed to tell the city council that they're not doing it. Have you been informed? Has he told you that they're not doing it? Oh, there's that brick wall of silence. Not only the transparency, it's the sound's off. Maybe I should tap the thing a while. You know, you need to tell me how I can get the answers from you. That's only fair. Because just to deny it, to do it under the secrecy of an email or in the dark, instead of out here in the public, you're spending the taxpayers' money. We have a right to know where it's being spent. And I'll point out once again, you didn't answer my questions. And Councilman Wright, that the reason I brought up Zalaki earlier was because when they tried to, some people suggested that we replace him. You said, oh, don't worry, I represent all of Modesto. If any of his people have a question, they can come to me. Well, what did we find out at the Pride meeting? Not all of them, only the ones you choose to talk to. So, ma'am, please tell the city of Modesto how we can get answers from you.
There's many ways. What is your question tonight?
Well, there were the 3 invoices from Myers-Nave, 1 December, 1 from March, 7 from February, and then Grover Landscaping threw in 6 from January and 1 from April. I'm just curious why we're paying especially our legal fees real late. The ones from the month before, which he recorded, and it's on the city's website, if you will. There were another 9, I believe, going back to December. You even had Lafayette and Kumagi, $32,000 worth of invoices from the year before, from 21. Rank even nailed us for $5,200 in December. You know, and another 87 from November. These are 21. Then we were curious about the Beard land improvements, you'll recall. The $6,154 worth of, I'm guessing, a rental payment. And of course, the real funny one, the Piccadilly Deli for $160.76, October 9th of 2019. Now, when I look at the legal fees, I begin to wonder where they're trying to juggle what year they fall in. Can anybody remember who signs off on them, what was done? We deserve an answer.
Okay. I would agree. And
in public.
Okay. Sounds good.
And when will that be, ma'am?
There again, I heard 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 requests. So I don't know that at this moment's notice, all of those questions can be answered.
Some of those requests were from a month ago.
Okay. So I need it to see it in writing, and we'll get you your
now
answers.
we're going back.
So there's your answer.
It's not in the procedure that we have to submit questions to you in writing. It's not there.
Okay. Well, we have it on record.
And we want to hear the responses in public.
All right.
Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome. Right. Any other comments from council or from the public? I don't see anyone from the public. Any comments from council members regarding item 9? Seeing none, I would recommend a motion accepting an informational report for the May 2022 Accounts Payable Payment Register and Void Report.
Motion to approve.
I have a motion.
Second.
Second. Motion by Vice Mayor Wright, second by Councilmember Scudia-Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia-Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen?
Aye. Motion carries 6-0. Next are council comments and reports. Do any of the council members have any comments and reports? Councilmember Ricky.
Thank you, Mayor. Over the last couple of weeks, we've seen hate groups boldly pushing their agendas, using Modesto as their front line. We've seen anti-Semitic flyers in my district, I think also in David Wright's district as well. We've seen Christo-fascists pushing their anti-gay and anti-LGBTQ agenda with groups that are based all over California, using Modesto for their hate pride event. And when the police department posted a happy Juneteenth post, it was pummeled by racist comments. Modesto has a hate problem, and we must address it. The anti-Semites, the homophobes, and the racists, they're here. They're loud. They want to make Modesto a safe haven for hate. But I also think that they're in the minority, and it's time for this city to speak up for tolerance and freedom. We need to take action. We need to make it abundantly clear that Modesto has no place for hate, and that we're committed to being a community that's rooted in diversity, acceptance, and kindness. Silence in the face of bigotry and hate is no better than being supportive, and we're definitely better than that. So I think that a way that we can really address this is we should create a historical monument dedicated to local Jewish culture, history, and contributions to our city. We need a LGBTQ sidewalk downtown to demonstrate our city's commitment to diversity and freedom. And we need to make Juneteenth an official city holiday as it should be. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you. Councilmember Scudia Brayton.
Thank you, Mayor. I just wanted to publicly denounce any and all individuals and groups who discriminate against those that are different than them. There's no room, indeed, in Modesto for any anti-Semitic behavior or discrimination of absolutely any kind. I would like to believe that that in Modesto we recognize that we are more alike than we are different. And we should make our decisions and live our life in a manner that walks with integrity and serves with your heart. Thank you.
All right. Any other council members have comments or reports? In light.
Madam Mayor?
Oh, sure. Go ahead, Councilmember Madrigal.
Just wanted to echo the comments of Councilmember Ricky. I really believe that we have an opportunity, for example, to really make a statement as a city that we are a welcoming city, that we value and respect diversity, that we do not tolerate hate. And one of the ways that we can do it, for example, is putting our funding towards some of the ideas, for example, that Councilmember Ricky put forward, such as using some of the already allocated beautification funding that we have allocated from the American Rescue Plan Act, the ARPA funding, as it's known, which we've already voted on. We as a city can decide that we want to, more specifically reprogram some of that beautification funding, specifically, for example, to those specific actions that Councilmember Ricky had mentioned. And so I echo those sentiments wholeheartedly, and I hope that this council will, and that the staff will bring back something that we as a council can deliberate and vote upon, or either first at the committee level and then here at this council, so that we can also make our statements about the kind of city that we are and that we want to be.
Right. Thank you for your comments. Just briefly, I wanted to make one comment that one way I try to demonstrate inclusion is to spend time with people that may believe differently than I do, or be different in whatever way it is. And I wanted to say that I was honored to visit Howard Prep, which is, especially in light of the fact that this month we're celebrating Americans with Disabilities Act Awareness Day. And I was so delighted to visit their facility in Ceres and see all the activities that we do in our community to include people with disabilities and their training. And they were cheerful, and to watch them in the kitchen and learning how to cook and how to interact with each other, and how to one day, train for jobs so that they can be productive citizens and residents of our communities. It was really delightful to spend time with them. So I was appreciative of the invitation and happy to accept it. Any other comments from anyone? All right, thank you very much. And we will move on to, does the city manager have any comments and reports?
Yes, Mayor, thank you. So tonight we're proud to announce that tonight's council meeting is the first to incorporate our new language access resource, Wordly. Wordly is a software program that provides real-time caption interpretation for meetings streamed over the Zoom platform into 20 different languages. By simply clicking on a link or scanning on a QR code that's posted on our agenda, members of the public will be able to receive live interpretations of Modesto City Council meetings and standing committee meetings. Residents attending meetings virtually and in person will now be able to view council meetings in the language of their choosing. In keeping with the Modesto strategic plan, the city has the goal to promote trust and engagement in order to improve governance and service delivery. One strategy for achieving this goal is to develop a multilingual communication plan, and Wordly is a major component of that. We have been told by Wordly that we are the first city in California to enable this solution. We believe many other cities will soon follow Modesto's leadership in eliminating barriers of access to city government for non-English speaking residents. I'm very proud of the work of our staff has done in bringing about this innovation and helping achieve another milestone in our city's strategic plan. A lot of work and effort and time went into testing Wordly, and I appreciate all the efforts of our IT staff, our deputy city manager, and all those involved. We will be looking at how we are going to market this to get this word out, that we can be more inclusive in our committee meetings and our council meetings, so that more individuals can join our governing process. Thank you, Mayor.
Right, thank you, and thank you for everyone on our city staff that worked really hard and long hours to make this possible. We appreciate your efforts. Next on the agenda is hearings. Item 28, a hearing to consider a proposed amendment to Plan Development PD 247 to allow for commercial development that would include food truck, commissary, parking, and manufacturing repair services on property located at 2301 Crow's Landing Road. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, City Council, Steve Mitchell, Planning Manager. Tonight for you is a hearing for an amendment to a plan development zone. This property is located on Crow's Landing Road, west side of Crow's Landing Road, just north of Whitmore Avenue. It's immediately to the north of the John Deere dealership there at the corner. Property is currently designated commercial. It's about 5.75 acres roughly. And it's surrounded by other commercial development and industrial development to the north and south, and residential development to the west. So, brief bit of background. This planned development zone was established back in 1979, actually, and it includes some adjacent properties in addition to this property. It was zoned really to allow for industrial uses. The only use that developed under the original zoning was that John Deere dealership I previously mentioned, and then immediately to the north, a self-storage facility. Then back in 2005, the zoning was amended to allow for a retail center on this site, including about 65,000 square feet. Of that approval, only 2 front pads were commercial uses were developed, the Jack in the Box and the Arco AM/PM. They're located today. The rest of the site has remained vacant. So the owner now wants to pursue a different product for this site. They want to basically build a servicing facility for food trucks. Now, this would include several components. There would be a commissary that would allow them to restock. In the evening, a parking area to the rear where the food trucks could be stored overnight. And actually, another building that is designed to be a service facility for food trucks, and also even to manufacture food trucks, basically convert existing vans into food trucks. And then finally, the project also includes a couple of new retail buildings that would be built with the project. So this is a site, as you can see, it's mostly vacant behind the existing retail uses up front. The project is consistent with the previously approved uses and the general plan. So with that, we do have a parking analysis. We looked at parking, has plenty of parking for all the uses that are being proposed on the site, both the food truck service uses as well as the retail uses. And as I said, there will be 50 truck parking sites for food trucks to park overnight. So with that, the recommendation is that you approve the amendment to this planned development zone to allow for these new uses, and also a second resolution that the project is within the scope of the Modesto Urban Area General Plan Master EIR. With that, I'd be happy to answer any questions.
All right, thank you for your report. Does council have any questions of staff?
I do, Mayor. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Escutia-Brayton.
I think this is a novel idea, and I think it's perfectly located with ample property to develop in the manner they envision. Has there been a similar development anywhere else?
Not quite of this magnitude. There is an existing commissary on 7th Street that was developed a number of years ago, and I think they also have food truck storage there overnight, but they don't have the servicing facility, so that's something I believe that is unique to this project.
Do you know if the developer has done anything similar to any other area? I find it so innovative, and I was wondering if they've had any success in the past with such a development.
Not that I'm aware of. I don't know if the owner is here this evening, and if she is, maybe she could answer that, but not that I'm aware of.
And when is the anticipated breaking ground and starting that business opening, to say?
Yeah, again, unknown. I think she's going to develop it. She indicated she's going to develop it in phases. I don't think everything's going to be developed right up front. I think the first phase is probably going to involve the commissary and food truck parking, and then the other uses will kind of follow on.
My last question is, it's going to provide a lot of service, but how many employees would it potentially actually have?
Yeah, I'm sorry, I don't actually know, but again, hopefully the owner is here and can respond to that.
Yeah, lots of questions. It's an interesting concept, and I hope that it's quite successful. I'm glad it's here in Modesto. Thank you, Steve.
All right, Vice Mayor Wright.
Thank you. Steve, on the property on the west side of that property, there's housing. Right now, is there a block wall there?
Yes, there's an existing masonry wall that was constructed years ago there, and that we looked at that issue when the project came in and determined the existing wall is adequate there. It's city standard wall separation.
How high is it? Is it 5
Yeah, I
feet?
believe it's an 8-foot wall.
That's 8 foot?
Yeah, which is our standard for separation between
And
commercial.
have you had any feedback from any of the homeowner?
No, we have not.
Matter?
We've notified the usual, 300-foot radius, and we have not heard from any of the residents or any of the neighbors really about the project. No one, the planning commission hearing, there was no one there to spoke in opposition or any concerns, so.
Great. Thank you. That's all my questions.
All right, Councilmember Ricky.
I just had a question about the building 2, I think it was, the manufacturing facility.
Yeah, let me just back up here so I can, oops, I guess it's off the
It's
screen.
all right.
Yeah, it's all right. At any rate, yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Do you have any idea what the capacity is there? How many jobs, how many trucks do you think they might build there? That's pretty fascinating because this is a very quickly growing sector.
The building has, I believe, only 2 bays in it. I think, so I wouldn't anticipate there would be a lot. I think they indicated the manufacturing part would be fairly occasional. It wouldn't be a big part of it. It's mostly going to be service facility. But they did indicate that they would be doing some conversions of vans, but probably not a lot of that.
It's a pretty neat opportunity, though. So.
All right, any other questions from council members? I'll now open the public hearing. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward on this item, which is item 28? I do not see anyone online or in person, so we will close the public comments. Are there any comments from council members? Councilmember Ricky, is your...
Sorry, I didn't turn
That's
it
all
on.
right. All right. I need a motion for
I was trying to unmute myself,
Okay.
Madam Mayor.
Sure, go ahead.
Just wanted to share that I do believe that there's another commissary similar to the one I think on 7th Street. There's one in Turlock also that I've heard of from, just from my interactions with local food truck owners. And, they also commented to me on their limited options to have places where they can access commissary services. So I definitely welcome this development in South Modesto.
All right, thank you. So I have two different resolutions. The first is a resolution approving an amendment to Plan Development PD 247 to allow for commercial development that would include food truck commissary, parking, and manufacturing repair services on property located at 2301 Crow's Landing Road. Do I have a motion?
Make a motion to approve.
All right, we have a motion from Councilmember Madrigal and second from Councilmember Escutia-Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Escutia-Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen?
Aye, carries 6-0. The next resolution is a resolution finding that the following subsequent project is within the scope of the project covered by the Modesto Urban Area General Plan Master Environmental Impact Report, SCH number 201-404-2081, an amendment to Plan Development PD 247 to allow commercial development that would include food truck commissary parking and manufacturing repair services on property located at 2301 Crow's Landing Road.
Motion to approve.
All right, I have a motion by Vice Mayor Wright.
Second.
Second by Councilmember Madrigal. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Escutia-Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwallen?
Aye, carries 6-0. Thank you. Next on the agenda is new business. Item 29, consider approving a master property tax revenue agreement with Stanislaus County. This will be presented by Steve Christensen. Welcome.
Good evening, Mayor, council members.
You look like Spider-Man.
Do I?
Put your mask on.
Thank you. It's my favorite superhero, actually. So tonight we have a item for the master property tax revenue sharing agreement with Stanislaus County. A brief background on property tax, very brief. So current distribution of property tax is really a result of a couple of tax reforms that were done through legislation, Proposition 13 and AB 8 back in the late 1970s. Then there was California Revenue and Taxation Code, Section 99, which really allowed counties, cities, and special districts to enter into standing master property tax sharing agreements. So for master property tax sharing agreements, the city has had in the past tax sharing agreements with the county that have been spanning multiple years, really as far back as 1982. Prior to the current 1996 agreement, on average, most of these agreements provided that the county received 66% of the tax increment and the city received about 34%. Obviously, there were some variations on that amount where the city could have received maybe 50-50, 70-30, just depending on those different splits. So now looking at the current master property tax sharing agreement, not the currentee, because that is a misspelling on my part. So the current master property tax sharing agreement was entered into the Stanislaus County and the 9 cities in the county in 1996. There was an amendment in 2006 just for some technical amendments. It applies to the properties that were annexed, only properties that are annexed into the city. It doesn't affect anything within current city limits, only anything that we're annexing. So in this agreement, really what is happening is that the county will receive their portion of the ad valorem property tax, and then any increment is split 70-30 between the county and the city respectively. Basically, what that means is that any incremental increase in revenue growth that is on the base year, so any increase in assessed valuation from that base year, that's what's split 70-30. So separate agreements can also occur. So if you have some tax sharing agreements within there, they can have different splits. So that's where I talked about there could be 50-50, 66-34. Those are some of the other things that can go into that. And again, that's the current master property tax agreement. Some of those would be like the North McHenry Avenue. We have a different tax sharing split for that, where the county actually receives 43% and the city receives about 56%. 56.8%. So under this proposed master property tax sharing agreement, this is something that over the past several months, the city manager and staff have worked with the county CEO and a subcommittee of the city managers representing all 9 cities to evaluate proposals to update this agreement. Really, some of the key components of this agreement are that it's going to be effective with this new assessment role. So property taxes received in this new fiscal year that are going to be distributed by the county auditor controller. That's what we're talking about when this is going to become effective. It can only be terminated if one of the parties will actually have a formal action to terminate the agreement. It's going to apply to properties that are annexed, again, following that effective date of the 1996 agreement and any future annexations. So really applying to those 1996 agreements and any annexations going forward for the city. The county is going to continue to retain their portion of the ad valorem property tax. And then the main thing for the city is going to be that the split's going to change to 50-50 for all future annexations and for the ones for the 1996 agreement. So we're going to get a 50-50 splits for that tax increment instead of the 70-30. There are also some exceptions that will continue forward. So like I just mentioned, the North McHenry area, there's the Beard area, the South Modesto area. Those are going to be some of the exceptions that will be included as part of this agreement. So what's the fiscal impact of this for the city? When we look at the proposed property tax agreement, we did our evaluation of what it's going to bring to the city in terms of additional revenue. The immediate impact is that we're going to anticipate, on average, about $230,000 of additional property tax revenue, just based off those changes in the splits for that increment. Future potential impact is kind of unknown at this time because it's really going to depend about how the development occurs in the city in the next 10 to 15 years. If there's an increase in development with that increment going up for the city on properties that we annex into the city, that could increase that $230,000 from the amount that we're estimating. So again, based off future development over the next 10 to 15 years, that $230,000 could increase. Again, in the spirit of transparency, I do want to point out that this agreement is benefiting the other cities in the county more than the city of Modesto. Really, that's a product of a lot of these other cities have done a lot of their growing post-1996. So for the city of Modesto, a lot of the growth occurred here prior to 1996 when we annexed a lot of these different areas into the city. So because of that, we're not seeing a huge amount of growth or tax increment like we are, like some of these other cities like Patterson, Riverbank, Turlock, where you see that they have a lot more average annual revenue that they're going to be anticipating due to the changes of this 50-50 split for their increment. And then before I go on to the staff recommendations, I'd be happy to answer any questions that you might have.
All right, does council have any questions of staff regarding item 29? All right, I don't see anyone online or in person, so I'll open this up to the public. Ask members of the public to come forward for this item. Seeing none, I'll close public comments. Any comments from council members?
I do, Mayor.
All right, Vice Mayor Wright.
I want to thank staff and the city manager's office for really working hard with the county on this proposal. I know that county receives a lot more tax money than this city does. And for future growth, this is going to be something that will help us in some areas. And I know it's not that much money that we really need, but it's a start. And I want to just thank our city staff and city manager for good negotiations.
I also want to express similar remarks. Thank you for everyone that has worked on this for a very long time. And I'm grateful that we're where we're at and that we're moving forward with this. And I appreciate the county's efforts as well as the city staff efforts. And I want to turn the time over to City Manager Lopez for a comment. Oh, Rosa.
Yeah, no, if I may,
counts.
real quick.
Sure.
I just also agree with what has been said, and I wanted to thank Joe and the staff who negotiated this. I know it wasn't overnight. I know that these conversations have been going on for quite a long time, and it's momentous that we're here today. And I think this was only made possible because of the council we have today, and certainly because of the Board of Supervisors that sits there today. I don't know that this action that we're contemplating today could have been done way back when. So kudos to all involved. I think the greater community, our greater community benefits. And I just would like to, again, as you said, Mayor, I express my gratitude to the County Board of Supervisors for approving this and giving us the opportunity to make our greater community a better place to live. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mayor. Mayor.
Go ahead, Councilmember Madrigal.
Just want to say this definitely is the kind of revenue, I guess, relief that we need as a city, and just one more example of the kind of revenue solutions that we as a city need as we face this ongoing structural deficit in the city. Yeah.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. I too just want to express my appreciation to the County Board of Supervisors and especially County Executive Officer Jody Hayes. This has been a conversation that has been going on for many, many years. We did have a subset of city managers that joined in the negotiations with the county CEO. It was a very pleasant process. It was a lot of back and forth, but I do appreciate the diligence of our committee and also of the county executive officer. We just appreciate their understanding and willingness to work with us to share greater revenue within the city of Modesto. Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, so we have a resolution for approving a master property tax revenue agreement with Stanislaus County, and I need a motion.
So moved.
Second.
All right, moved by Councilmember Scudia Brayton, second by Vice Mayor Wright, and will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen?
Aye, carries 6-0. Thank you very much, everyone. All right, next is item 30. Consider approving a blight abatement pilot program and the Modesto Mo Beautiful slogan for education and outreach on blight abatement programs in accordance with the 2020-2025 blight abatement strategy and allocating $750,000 in the American Rescue Plan Act funding toward blight abatement efforts and amending the position allocation plan for the fiscal year 2021-2022 as adopted in the operating budget. Welcome, Scotty Douglas, Deputy City Manager.
Good evening, Mayor and City and Council members. I'm Scotty Douglas, Deputy City Manager. The item before you for consideration is the approval of a blight abatement pilot program, a new blight abatement program slogan, and the allocation of $750,000 in ARPA, which is American Rescue Plan Act funding toward blight abatement efforts, and amending the city's position allocation plan in support of the city's blight abatement strategy. In late 2020, the City Council approved a 5-year blight abatement strategy and the formation of the Blight Abatement Advisory Committee. This was in support of the city's most recently adopted strategic plan that identified blight abatement as a community priority. The intent of the strategy is to provide city staff and community partners with a guide and initiatives to not only mitigate blight in our community, but also to beautify our community through public-private partnerships. The intent of the Blight Abatement Advisory Committee is to ensure that programs that are put into action continue to thrive well into the future. Then in 2021, the city approved spending plan for funding received through the American Rescue Plan Act, and within this plan, Council approved $750,000 in year 1 to be allocated to the city's blight abatement program to support cleanup, beautification, enforcement efforts, and much more. With the approval of this funding, there are 5 programs that are recommended within this allocation. The first is a mobile abatement team. This would provide limited term personnel and the proper equipment needed in order to perform regular patrols and immediate cleanup of illegal dumping hotspots. And as mentioned in the blight abatement strategy, the goal here is to remove illegal dumping as soon as possible to discourage continued illegal dumping in these areas. Next is the homeowner rehabilitation program. This program is federally funded and assists income qualifying homeowners with health and safety repairs, energy efficiency upgrades, and Americans with Disabilities Act accessibility projects. With this program, there are certain criteria that must be met, as you can see here. And this program will afford communities with beautification opportunities within their neighborhoods. What's unique about this program is we have a program currently, and the threshold for qualification is much lower. What this does is it provides an additional bracket just slightly above that expands this program to the community. Next is surveillance cameras, and if approved, the program will purchase up to 6 blight abatement surveillance cameras that will be used to monitor illegal dumping in various identified hotspots throughout the city. The increased value of these cameras is the ability to rotate them to varying hotspots as needed. And it'll also help us with enforcement. As mentioned earlier, the Blight Abatement Advisory Committee was established to increase engagement with our community in the city's blight abatement programs. And in this case, there would be an allocation dedicated to the areas that have received for beautification projects from various community groups, and the allocation of $50,000 would be dedicated to the community's priorities and encouraging public-private partnerships and potential matching fund opportunities. These would then be forwarded to council for approval. Kind of the idea of having some seed money for projects that are out there. Next is the last program is a call for beautification projects that support city alignment with local nonprofit organizations and others to perform a general call for projects. This would offer groups the opportunity to secure funds to move community beautification projects forward. Staff will work with the Blight Abatement Advisory Committee to convene an evaluation group to determine the projects that would receive an award. And once the determination is made, the recommendations will be presented to the Safety and Communities Council Committee, followed by council approval. This slide shows a summary of the recommended programs and allocations, and starting with the mobile abatement team, that would be $300,000. The homeowner rehabilitation program, it would start at $250,000. Blight abatement cameras at $100,000, and blight abatement advisory committee priorities at $50,000, ending with public beautification projects at $50,000, totaling $750,000. All of this leads me to the exciting part of tonight's presentation, and that is new blight abatement campaign slogan, a new slogan as recommended by the Blight Abatement Advisory Committee and the Safety and Communities Council Committee. And after many meetings and series of options that were evaluated, the city settled on Modesto, Mo Beautiful. And if approved tonight, the slogan will be used as our brand anchor in support of our blight abatement strategy. And there'll be several offshoots of this branding, such as Modesto Mo Clean, Modesto Mo Green, and many others that will tie into this. This slogan will be used in all forms of community engagement platforms, including social media, printed materials, and much more. Now, at this time, I'd like to introduce Maria Hernandez. She's the chair of our Blight Abatement Advisory Committee. I'd like to welcome her up to say a few words.
Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Scotty, City Council, and Mayor for the time today. My name is Maria Hernandez. I was born and raised in West Modesto, a product of our local schools and community, a Master of Public Administration graduate of CS Stanislaus, and recently became a small business owner. Yay. Thank you. I am the acting chair of the Blight Abatement Advisory Committee. I am here on behalf of my committee to express support for the adoption of this allocation plan for the America Rescue Plan Act funding. The Blight Abatement Advisory Committee is a group of 8 city and county residents who meet monthly to provide city staff and city council recommendations on how to prevent blight in our community. We are all active members of Modesto's community and are passionate about making Modesto the most beautiful and vibrant city possible. The Blight Abatement Advisory Committee would like to express its support of the Blight Abatement Initiative. The areas of focus are areas that we have discussed at length in committee as action items and areas for improvement. We are most excited about the allocation devoted to committee priorities and beautification projects. We are also excited to launch an invigorated education and outreach campaign under the slogan that we selected, Modesto Mo Beautiful. It calls on our community's civic pride, on our love for the city, and the hope that we can make it more beautiful. We see it as a great way to connect and tackle the many different components of blight. The Blight Abatement Advisory Committee is excited about the potential for blight abatement and beautification that this initiative can inspire, and we encourage City Council to adopt this plan. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your presentation.
Thank you.
That was beautiful.
Thank you so much, Maria. It's really great to have you on the Blight Abatement Advisory Committee and the others. In conclusion, staff recommends approving a blight abatement pilot program and the Modesto Mo Beautiful slogan and allocating $750,000 in American Rescue Plan Act funding towards blight abatement efforts. Additionally, approving a homeowner rehabilitation program policy and allocating $250,000 of the $750,000 to this program. And lastly, amending the position allocation to support the creation of the mobile abatement team. And at this time, I'm happy to answer any questions you may have. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Does council have any questions of staff?
My hand's up.
Thank you, Jenny, for speaking up. Councilmember
Don't be
Canoyer.
Okay, just one question. Now, we're going to hire 2, out of this ARCO fund, 2 employees. This is the thing that I'm concerned about. When we run out of those funds, are their positions got rid of, or are we going to try to incorporate it some way into our general fund as part of our regular budget?
Thank you, Councilmember Canoyer. It's a great question. What this is planning to do is hire 2 limited time employees for a period of 2 years. And during that time, it is certainly staff's hope that we could actually identify funding to continue to support this program into the future. At this time, it is limited to 2 years.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Madrigal.
Buddy, could you just recap approximately how many cameras I think it was $100,000 was going to buy?
Yes, Councilmember Madrigal, that's $100,000 that would be allocated toward the purchase of up to 6 cameras. They are costing at approximately $15,000 each. And while some may think that that is expensive, these are very highly technical cameras that provide wireless connectivity and monitoring, and also provides us with very specific footage that we can use for evidence in cases that we're investigating.
So in other words, high enough resolution to like make out license plates and things like that?
That's correct. It's so as to identify individuals that are participating in the illegal efforts of illegal dumping.
And you said they're going to be mobile, basically, or movable?
They'll be fixed mounted, but we would be able to move them to different locations based on issues that come up, identifying hot spots. And so typically what happens is you place a camera, and then now it eventually would no longer become a hot spot because of the enforcement, and so then you can move it to another location.
Is there going to be some sort of accompanying signage that's like, I mean, additional signage? I don't know. The reason I'm asking is I just feel that the signage that's currently there at some of these hotspots, like, notifying you that there's a fine for illegal dumping, things like that. I don't think that's a sufficient deterrent. Or is there a plan for additional signage when the cameras are up to also let people know, like, basically, you're on camera, this is, illegal dumping with the fines or whatnot?
That's correct, Councilmember Madrigal. We're actually doing that signage now for the camera. We have one camera, and we have actually another that we borrow from PD from time to time. The signs are posted. What's very interesting to me is I've watched the video footage myself and seen people dumping right in front of the signs. And so they are very specific, and they are talking about the $1,000 fine, and we will continue to do that.
But what I'm saying is there going to be additional signage notifying people that they're also that area is under video surveillance by the city or something like that?
The signage is there, and we will continue to do that.
Okay, sorry, wasn't clear on that. Just last thing is on these cameras, like warranty-wise, like what are we looking at? Like what if some of these folks that are up to no good doing illegal dumping want to take it a step further and, try to destroy these cameras that might catch them?
We actually do not have any vandalism that's happened as of yet. The cameras are placed in a location that is very difficult for them to get to. However, there is, to my understanding, there's no insurance program that covers the cameras. However, there are warranties that come with the cameras. Typically, those are anywhere from 1 to 2 years.
Ready, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Ricky.
Thank you. Couple things. The dump day that we did, was it last week?
I think
2
about
weeks
2
ago?
weeks ago.
June
Yeah.
25th.
And then there's another dump day in Councilmember Escutia Brayton's district coming up, right? Or did I already miss it?
It's being reconfigured.
Perfect. But it's going to happen. Anyways, some really successful stuff. Is that going to be part of this program at all? Maybe?
Well,
Or is it connected somehow to this program?
yeah, those two events are kind of bifurcated just a little bit. So one is with Caltrans and their support, and they've contributed a significant amount of funding, and so that's great. Those are community cleanup, like large scale. The other cleanup that we're starting with is kind of a pilot project, but I know the Blight Abatement Advisory Committee is following it fairly closely. And what this is for more localized events, which is what we're going to start working on next at our committee level as well, that gets the public-private partnerships so that they're kind of adopting their community. And our program has actually purchased things like litter pickup things and things like that that we can actually loan out to groups to do that.
Cool. My second question is, I don't know if you heard, but Fresno did a 1 million pound challenge, dumping challenge, at them like picking up 1 million pounds of trash in their community. And it was just really inspiring, and they were able to fulfill their goal early, which is really neat. And so I just thought that might be something we might want to consider taking on. I know it's a lot of, 1 million pounds is a lot, but it would really clean up our city, so that'd be cool.
I agree. I wrote that down. Thank you.
All right.
And just exactly what you said, Councilmember Ricky, we were just having a hallway conversation, all very conceptual, about something similar to that. But there's so much more to come in this area of Mo Beautiful Modesto, and the works of this committee is just delightful, and lots of energy, lots of good ideas. So we just need to support them and just bring good ideas to them and let them flourish, let them do their job. So lots more to come.
All right, any other questions from council members? Councilmember Canoyer.
Yes. I remember a few years ago that one of the things that somebody recommended, and I can't remember if it was the council member or the mayor or someone, that if you see it, pick it up, put it in a can. Kind of like if you see it, tell it. So if you see it, pick it up and put it in a can. Kind of giving them the incentive to, we can each, if we picked up one item a day, we could clean up the city.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council members? Seeing none, we will go to open it up to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to come forward regarding item 30?
Loretta Card. Yes, I don't know. I doubt if this is actually it, but this state's here for homeowners. Is this also the same as we had years ago where the county would work with homeowners and repairing in all the homes and all? Is that also the same thing?
Okay, Jessica is going to come and respond
Well,
to
if
that
not her,
portion of
ask
it.
it her.
Loretta, this is expanding our homeowner program to assist those who are above 80% of the area median income up to 140% of the area median income. So yes, it is similar, but it's going to expand the program to serve more people.
Then what about if work is done, the work is not completed, and we're charged for it anyway? Who in the heck do we go to? Because that's exactly what happened to me.
Well, Loretta, I will say as of today, we do have proper protocols in place to ensure that everyone signs off on all work that is completed and is to the owner's satisfaction.
Then why isn't there someone that will help those of us who had work done years ago? Mine was years and years ago, and you know about the darn thing. And the work was never completed. I've got live wiring right in my own home, and I will not move out of my house for $10 million. Mainly because of that, because I've been taken by the city, by the state, and now Sears and everything else, because I've got that crazy house of mine, and I still want it to be for the handicap. I wanted an office for that, and I'm not gonna quit. And if the city will do work for other people, I want to know why in the devil they won't do it for me. Now, can you give me an answer to that?
I cannot answer that tonight, Loretta.
Then will you please try and find someone who will?
All righty.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, any other comments from the public regarding item 30? All right, seeing none, any comments from council members?
I have a comment.
All right, Vice Mayor Wright.
I want to thank Maria for being on the Blight Committee, and she stepped up to take over as chairman of that committee, and it's been a pleasure having you chair that committee and moving it forward, and I'm looking forward to a lot of great things coming out of your committee. Thank you for spending the time that you do on Thursdays or whenever we have. I think it's Thursdays at 11 coming up. I'll be on Zoom, but I'll be there, and I appreciate the work you do.
Thank you. Councilmember Ricky.
Yeah, I want to echo Councilmember Wright's sentiments here. Maria, thank you for all the work you're doing. You're doing a great job. I also want to thank staff, Scotty, Bill, Joe. You guys have been listening to me complain about this for almost 2 years, and I love to see action. You know that, and I know the people of Modesto love it too. And we're going to make this city better. We're going to make it more beautiful, right? Thanks.
All righty, Councilmember Madrigal.
Yes, just wanted to echo the sentiments of appreciation and support to the staff and especially to the committee. Thank you, Maria, as well for your service. and representing the West Side and our needs over there as well as leading this effort as chair of the committee and stepping up. I just also want to say this is something that's been a long time coming, and it's been needed for a long time now. Residents in my district have been complaining to me for years about illegal dumping, and I keep telling them, report it on the Go Modesto app. That's one solution. I also tell them, text me a photo and an address of where the illegal dumping is happening. I'll report it for you. I know I've reported over 1,000 different reports on Go Modesto myself, and it's one of the things that has come up a lot from people in the community. One of the requested solutions, to be specific, is to have more video surveillance cameras. They have a strong belief that those will help deter illegal dumping in their neighborhoods, in their communities, so that we can have a cleaner, more beautiful West Modesto, South Modesto area. And I can't wait for these, specifically these video cameras, to be implemented, as well as some of the other creative Modesto cleanup solutions, for lack of a better word, beautifying solutions to come. So thank you so much.
Did you have a comment? I'm feeling that
I neglected to mention something that it's important to me during public comment. During council comment. So whenever you think I might be able to do that.
Go right ahead.
Okay, thank you. I appreciate the time. I'd like to, this Thursday, we will be, Modesto will be collaborating with Controller Betty Yee in having a small business webinar on Zoom. It'll be from 10 a.m. to 12 p.m. I encourage anyone interested in establishing a small business in Modesto to chime in. There'll be agenda items such as how to establish your small business, how to secure funding, how to do business with the government for small businesses, a variety of information, a variety of subject matter experts that will be available to answer any questions. Again, this is a collaboration that the City of Modesto is doing with Controller Betty Yee. For more information, please check our website. Again, Thursday, July the 14th at 10 a.m. Thank you.
You're welcome. I'll go back to item 30 now and make a comment. I think that with Maria Hernandez, we have a shining star in our community that has absolutely stepped up to take on a task that is so important, if not the most important concern of residents in our community. And I commend you for that. And I was going to resist giving you my thought about Modesto Mo Beautiful, but I shared with Scotty that, as you know, the Modesto Children's Museum, they often go with Mochi Moo. So I thought of Momo Bo, because beautiful is in French, beau.
Oh, I like that.
And Councilmember Escudia Brayton already said more beautiful Modesto, so it could be Mo Bo Mo.
Love it.
Lots of thoughts going on. We have lots of ideas, but I'm so grateful for the committee that came up.
Mo Bello Modesto as well.
Yeah. All right.
Multiple languages.
There we go. So you'll have lots of suggestions, as you can see, but you take it and run with it and do what your committee would like to do with it. So we're really grateful for your service. All right. So this is 3 resolutions that we can move all at once. A resolution approving a blight abatement pilot program and the Modesto Mo Beautiful slogan for education and outreach on blight abatement programs in accordance with the 2020-2025 blight abatement strategy, and allocating $750,000 in America Rescue Plan Act funding toward blight abatement efforts. A resolution approving an American Rescue Plan Act homeowner rehabilitation program policy defining the structure of the program and allocating $250,000 from the $750,000 allocation in American Rescue Plan funds for the blight abatement pilot program, and a resolution amending the position allocation for the fiscal year 2021-2022 as adopted in the operating budget. Do I have a motion?
Approval.
Okay, we have a motion by Vice Mayor Wright and a second by Councilmember Ricky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia-Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye, it carries 6-0. And I am going to call for a 5-minute break from till 7:35. All right, welcome back, everyone. We are on item 31. Consider approving the city's pandemic recovery strategy, Modesto Forward, for the use of the second allocation of American Rescue Plan funds and authorizing the city manager or his designee to carry out the necessary steps to implement the programs and funding allocations. I would like to have a staff report. Welcome, Allison Van Gilder, Deputy City Manager. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Mayor, Council. The item before you is in regard to the Year 2 spending proposal for the City of Modesto's Pandemic Recovery Strategy, also known as Modesto Forward. This strategy is funded by the American Rescue Plan Act, often referred to as ARPA. Okay, got it. Thank you, Scotty. Just a little background. As a result of the COVID-19 impacts, a $1.9 trillion emergency relief measure was issued to the American public through a variety of programs outlined on the slide above. The City of Modesto was allocated $45.89 million to be received in 2 tranches, and the Treasury Department issued guidance on expense eligibility. In response to this funding, the Modesto Forward Strategy was developed and approved by Resolution 2021-194 on May 25, 2021. It was later modified by Resolution 2022-104 on February 8th of 2022 and included various allocations of Year 1 funding approved by Council. As identified in the slide, according to the Treasury Department, there are eligible expenses, and then there were expenses determined to be ineligible. And so careful consideration was given to these factors when recommending the various spending plans. In regard to our Year 1 progress, I'm pleased to report to you that as of right now, we've expended over $7.3 million in a variety of important programs and projects. Approximately $11.5 million has been allocated towards several initiatives which are currently in varying stages of progress, with a handful being very close to implementation. And finally, a little over $4 million is allocated toward initiatives that are still in the research phase, and this is for Year 1. In order to develop the Year 2 expenditure plan, staff solicited priorities from the public and the council at the 3 standing city council committees: Economic Development, Safety and Communities, and Finance. Staff also released a 10-question survey intended to gauge the priority areas of the community. Examples of priorities identified in the survey and in the standing committees include the following: bulky item program enhancements, downtown streets team, continued funding of key Year 1 programs, park improvements, and expanded forestry maintenance. During the fiscal year 22-23 budget process, Council was also presented with a draft of the Year 2 spending plan to glean additional Council feedback. Based on the valuable information received during these processes, staff is now recommending the following allocations: continuing key pilot programs in the amount of $3 million, and COVID reserve funding in the amount of $8.1 million. During these processes, the council and community expressed interest in continuing many of the pilot initiatives that were launched as part of the Year 1 spending plan and expressed a desire to extend program periods with funds made available from the second allotment of ARPA funds. The city also acknowledges that the pandemic is not over and the community may experience another surge in COVID-19 cases, evidenced by communities across the country. This, coupled with the current economic uncertainty, some of the plan elements included in the draft Year 2 spending plan have been changed. At this time, $8.1 million of the second allocation has been carved out until we have a better idea of our COVID and financial situations moving into 2023. Fiscal year 22-23 budget funding, $4.5 million. With council's adoption of the fiscal year 22-23 operating budget, the city estimated an $8.1 million general fund shortfall needed to balance the budget. Proposed reductions and increases in department revenues were in the amount of $3.69 million, and the remaining amount has been allocated from the American Rescue Plan funds. 911 dispatch services, $1 million. The COVID-19 pandemic challenged services that are made available to the community and further exacerbated existing gaps in service. In the area of dispatch, the city is currently exploring methods to improve services, and the allocation will fund the necessary infrastructure to enhance dispatch services and the overall response from the public safety personnel. Downtown Quiet Zone, $1 million. The community and council expressed an interest in investing funds to convert the downtown into a quiet zone alongside several private sector partners to help spur economic and housing development in downtown. Park improvements and forestry services, $2 million. The community and council noted that the parks and forestry services across the community require improvements. Staff will be returning to council to identify the park improvements required by level of priority. Homelessness downtown streets teams, $1.8 million. A key priority identified was the effort to address homelessness. The city has created a comprehensive strategy titled Camp to Home alongside the Downtown Streets team, which has helped dozens of previously homeless individuals secure housing and employment. And finally, other services totaling $1.5 million. The city is also recommending critical investments to improve the development of affordable housing, spur tourism and economic recovery, and address gaps in service with investments toward a pilot multifamily bulky item pickup program, affordable housing trust, parking infrastructure, the Convention and Visitors Bureau, LED lighting, and the West Modesto Collaborative. Next steps. We're here tonight to ask council to consider the proposed year 2 spending plan. And if approved, staff will continue to report back periodically on our progress, both with the year 1 expenditures and also year 2. And then the ultimate plan is to come back in early spring of 2023, so that we can do a comprehensive review of all of the programs and projects included in the spending plan. With that, the staff recommendation tonight, council, is a resolution approving the city's pandemic recovery strategy, Modesto Forward, for the use of the second allocation of American Rescue Plan funds and authorizing the city manager or his designee to carry out the necessary steps to implement the programs and funding allocations. With that, I would be happy to answer any questions. Thank you.
All right. Does council have any questions of staff? Seeing none, I will open it up to the public. Are there any members of the public that would like to comment on item 31? All right. Are there any council comments regarding this item? All right, Vice Mayor Wright.
I just want to thank this council and our finance committee for realizing that we need to set aside money for not knowing what next year holds. We know that we have this year $8 million deficit. And if things in November don't work out, we're going to have a big job on our hands next year. So thank you, city manager. Thank you, our finance committee and this council for looking ahead and knowing that there may be a rainy day coming down the road, and we need to be prepared for it. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Ricky.
Yeah, I just want to echo those sentiments. We know that there are potentially troublesome economic times ahead, and we know that we already are in a bit of a pickle financially. So I just really applaud the tact that the Finance Committee and staff's taken to try to protect the city as much as we can with these funds and use them as they're intended, which is to keep city services functional. So, thanks.
Great, thank you. I have a comment. It just, it came to me that it's really noteworthy that the comments that we heard from the public tonight that were called in or in person are being addressed by this American Rescue Plan budget. Very specifically address mental health response, 2 additional years, blight abatement, 2 additional years, park ranger, 1.5 years, deferred maintenance at parks, our chat team, which is the community health assistant team. I mean, every call that was made in or every public comment, I feel like is being addressed, whether it's Downtown Streets team, Affordable Housing Trust, Dispatch. They're all very specifically being used to address issues that are really important to people in our community. And I'm going to say it again, proud of staff and council for taking action in this way and being really responsive to our residents, to really work hard to address these issues that are so important to so many of us. All right, any other comments from council members regarding item 31? All right, the resolution was read. I appreciate that. Do we have a motion?
Motion to approve.
All right, motion by Vice Mayor Wright, second by Councilmember Ricky. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scutia Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwollen?
Aye, carries 6-0. Thank you, everyone. On to item 32, consider accepting an update on the 2021 Stanislaus Regional Strategic Plan to address homelessness and approving the direction of the implementation plan. Welcome, Jessica Hill.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Jessica Hill, Community Development Manager. So as a little bit of background, the City of Modesto in its 2020 through 2025 strategic plan identified Goal C to develop a homeless plan to help reduce encampments in public spaces, ensures the provision of supportive services, and identify strategies to permanent housing. And in order to address this plan, the City of Modesto partnered with Stanislaus County, and in fall 2020, the community began working on a strategic plan process to collect information and feedback community-wide for a strategic plan to address homelessness. So in order to create this strategic plan, we first did an environmental scan. And so what that means is we looked at the documents that we currently had that was looking at addressing homelessness. We reviewed all of the behavioral health documents. We reviewed the blue ribbon to address homelessness in the City of Modesto. We reviewed the focus on prevention strategies. Additionally, we met with over 20 other focus groups to talk about different community feedback and what they felt should be addressed, as well as did a community survey which received over 1,000 responses. We had a special city council meeting regarding the homeless strategic plan to seek feedback not only from the City of Modesto constituents but also the council. That was held on April 5th, 2021. And some of the major themes that were brought up were the barriers to addressing homelessness, was the mental health and the high cost of housing. And then under strategies to address homelessness, they recommended funding to be utilized for mental health and then permanent supportive housing for those experiencing homelessness. So as the plan was developed, they identified 8 different goals to address homelessness, which are above. In order to implement the strategic plan, an implementation committee was established to prioritize and drive the goals of the plan. The group consists of members of the Community System of Care and the Stanislaus Homeless Alliance. This group has been working diligently to identify and prioritize the first goals and steps towards the implementation of the goals. And what they've decided to do is implement the incident command system framework to help mobilize the community to address these goals. So Ron Reed, who is a retired annuitant from the Sheriff's Office, is served as the incident commander and is helping implement the structure for this plan. Brad Hahn has been identified as the operations lead and is presenting the structure to the 9 cities in the county and helping ensure that these goals then are met within the community. Brad's also been leading presentations to each city council to provide an update on the plan, its implementation, and to seek local support. So the group has identified the following key priorities. Goal 1, which is to increase the availability of permanent housing, and goal 3 and 6. And so goal 3 and 6, they wanted to intertwine through each of the goals because goal 3 is to ensure we had the diversity and equity feedback in each of the goals we were accomplishing. Goal 6 was to ensure we had feedback from those experiencing homelessness to actually receive that feedback and understand and making sure those needs were met as well. So the primary focus for our first goal will be goal 1, which is to increase the availability of housing from both the public and private sectors to achieve more housing across the county. Our next steps include fully forming the work group, assigning individuals to the Incident Command Center, and providing periodic updates to the Stanislaus Homeless Alliance, the Community System of Care, and the governing bodies on the updates to this plan. Our immediate goals, especially in the City of Modesto, is to identify and apply for new funding sources, both coming down from the state and federal governments, partner with new housing providers and housing developers to actually execute these new housing projects and create more affordable housing within the city and within the community. And with that, I'd actually like to ask Brad to come up and talk about a couple of words and the implementation of this plan community-wide.
Hi, welcome.
Thank you, Jessica. Well, things are moving at a very, very fast pace, and you know, for me,
Speak up so we can hear you.
can't hear me? I can hear
Thank
you.
you.
Okay. One of the things I personally didn't want to do is spend my time working on a plan that just got stuck on a shelf somewhere, like so many plans when I was on the council and other times in my life I've seen.
Like our Blue Ribbon Commission.
Yeah. And so I was searching for a way to do that, and I happened to be having coffee with the sheriff, and he talked about the incident command system that basically just holds you accountable to solving the problems. And Ron Reed is, I cringe when he emails me because it's always some more work to do. And what it is that there's an assignment made based on the priorities, and I have to report back in a month what happened. So one of the things that we've been doing with the housing is I've met with all the city managers in the county and CEO and Joe, and for you guys it'll mostly probably be he'll assign Jessica to be that person on implementing some affordable housing. And so we have every one of the city managers in the county have agreed that we need to investigate this. And the issues of funding, obviously. Who's the nonprofit that's going to provide the services for it, and where is it going to be? And our goal is not to tell a city what to do, but to help them fulfill what they would like to do. And for instance, for Modesto, it's what you guys want to do. You want to do some more affordable housing. The goal is to try and provide the support for that. And so that we're now just starting on housing, and it's just been going for a couple months. And now we're going to be moving into other areas, like the common thread through all of the cities. And this report that you're going to hopefully approve was done based on each city. So we had input and data for each city that was presented to them at their council meeting. And there's a common thread that Jessica mentioned it: drug and alcohol services, abuse services, behavioral health, affordable housing, and caseworkers, the attention of the care team and the chat team, and those things are already happening. And this morning at the Board of Supervisors meeting, might be stealing a little thunder from Brandon, but the county funded the whole system. That, remember when all the prisoners got released and there was money that came from the state to try and deal with that? Well, that got funded for a lot of the different services for a 5-year period for that. So that relates to homelessness. It also relates to recidivism within the jail system and such. So a lot of things are happening, and I don't know if you realize but have heard, but we got a letter from the grand jury asking for things. Mostly, a lot of money's gone to homelessness. I don't see much to show for it. And where's your accountability measures within this? And at first I was kind of like, oh man, another thing to do. But I kind of see it as a real blessing in disguise, because it's going to make us, it's going to force us all to come up with measurable, accountable goals that we have. It isn't that we have to meet every single one of them, but we're trying to move the ball forward instead of, when we first started talking about the homeless situation, nobody was talking to each other. There were homeless people waiting for housing on 3 different nonprofit lists, and things were just not working. So we're moving forward with this thing, and I really appreciate that if you guys would, like the other cities, endorse this and say this is our plan, and there'll be a lot more to come from it. If you have any questions, I could answer them. Did I go over my 5 minutes?
Well, you're a presenter, so it's okay.
She's been on me about
Don't run off.
No. Oh, that's right. Yes.
You forgot.
I forgot that I
don't.
mentioned about that it needed to be brief. Right. All right. Thank you very much for your presentations. Are there any questions from the council? Sorry. Any council questions? All right. Vice Mayor Ray.
Thank you, Jessica. Thank you, Brad. I think we've done a lot of great things in the city on helping people, giving them a hand up instead of a hand out. But we still have a group of people that are sleeping on our sidewalks. I've thrown away at my business 2 double beds, clothing, and just a bunch of junk in the last week that was left behind our building. And we really, and I know Councilmember Ricky has been really talking about safe camping. And I know that safe camping is something we need to be looking at. Also in small groups with services providing for them, toilets, showers, and also giving them a hand up and helping them get out of their lifestyle that they're living in, if it's mental health or drug rehab or whatever. But I think the citizens of Modesto are just really getting tired of seeing what's happening on our parks. I've seen pictures on Facebook on just people, with tons of stuff around Modesto. And when I drive around Modesto, I see it all the time. And, we've put a lot of money towards homeless, but it seems like there's a group of them that we're not touching, and we need to either be more proactive in law enforcement and start, cracking down on where they're sleeping and getting them help, or having a safe place for them to go sleep, and then start working to get them help. But them sleeping on our doorsteps, in front of my building, on the parks, and at neighbors, mobile home parks are having problems with the homeless, is something that we really have to look at and start doing something about it. So my question is, what are you doing on that particular type of homelessness? Brad, you go ahead, or whoever.
Okay, well, I do kind of want to say we do have our chat team here in the city of Modesto who's working with actually engaging with those homeless individuals to take that next step. I think in regards to Safe Camp, and I know Brad can speak to it community-wide, even in regards to implementing the Safe Park program, we had to look at it from a fiscal standpoint. We had to look at it from a community standpoint of who could provide that ongoing case management to these individuals to get them to the next step. And of a lot of our nonprofits, we're helping build their capacity now, and they don't currently have the capacity. So I think that, as this program, continues to be looked at here in the city of Modesto, we're looking into those details to ensure that if we, implement something in the city, we have those all ironed out prior to any implementation.
Yeah, Jessica doesn't know this, but I've had 3 different individuals from different cities ask about the idea of the camping program. And so we're going to be at the, I don't remember what it's called, but it's the police chiefs have a meeting every month. So we're going to just open up the dialogue, start talking about how could that work, and
try talking into that darn speaker where we can hear you. Out there we can hear you.
I feel like my mother's talking. So we're gonna begin the discussion. not, you know, what are the good parts, bad parts, what do we have to overcome, where's the funding gonna come from, how's it gonna work? And there's a lot that has to go into that to make it work, but we've been asked to come and talk about that with the police chiefs of the county, just to start the
Well, I would
discussion.
recommend we put urgency on that, Brad. And I know that you and Jessica really would like to see that done. And I think, and I'm glad that the grand jury did what they did, because it does put the pressure on, put the heat on. And sometimes government needs the heat in order to move forward. And hopefully that will give you guys the tools that you need to move forward with this issue. Thank you.
All right. I might add that Loretta made a really interesting observation, because I was at the Board of Supervisors meeting this morning, and I wasn't able to stay the whole time, but when I went out in the foyer, I was able to hear it better than in this room. So there is something, there's something about the acoustics. And the bigger screen was out there, so I could actually read the agenda items better. So just thought I'd mention that. If somebody wants to be able to hear better or see the screens better, it's really good out in the foyer. All right, Councilmember Ricky.
Thanks, Mayor. So my question is for Jessica here. We do a lot for homeless services right now. We've got the chat team. We're bringing on rangers. We've got programs, downtown streets team. We've got, well, a lot going on. A lot of positive stuff. We got the Bavarian. We got Gospel Mission. We're doing all this stuff. But what our residents are seeing is that we're not making the progress that they expect us to make. And so, like, we can, we just keep trying to. It's great that we're doing awesome work, but we need to do more, right? And so I think part of that journey is telling that story. And I think we're not doing that well enough. We're not showing, like, the incredible impacts that these different teams are making. Like, we're kind of scratching the surface with some of our social media posts. Like, they tell a story about someone who's in downtown streets team and how they got a job now, or how they moved into a house now, or you see, I've heard just kind of like through the community about people that are living in Kansas House and how much their lives have improved, right? But if the community doesn't know that we're doing it, and you're driving down the Loma and you see, 15 people in this park and 20 people on the corner in this other park, and then they drive by Ralston Tower and there's another 15 there, and then they drive by Grisada, and then they drive by Enslin, and then they wonder, like, Councilmember, what are you doing about this? Right? So I'm just hoping, I don't know if you guys have a plan for, like, kind of telling that story, but that's my question.
No, that's great feedback, and I want to say that we're constantly looking for new ways and to expand and showcase kind of what we're doing. Some of the things that we have implemented is we do have our homeless dashboard, which shows all of the chat teams' interaction with the homeless individuals in our parks and on our streets. But I think trying to continue to get that word out with an ongoing report to the community or a website that they can go to is something that our division's striving for.
All right, Councilmember Knoyer, questions?
No, it's not a question. I feel it basically has to do with Brad Hahn. I don't get to see him that often. Most of us that run for office have this thing saying, oh, I'm not done with, I'm going to continue to be part of our community. But they don't. They disappear. How many people that have been on our city council, our mayors, that have really contributed after they left? Brad Hahn has. And I do not think that he gets enough recognition for what he does. I know he's going to say, oh, yeah, you don't need to say that, but it's true. Brad, I believe one of the best things that happened to the city of Modesto, and for the young people that have new soccer fields, especially people in the southwest Modesto, Brad Hahn has probably been able to accomplish more because he didn't win the mayor as he has been since he just does so much for our city that we don't know about. And I just don't get a chance, unfortunately, to comment on that. But I want people to know, and I want them to realize how lucky we are to have someone like Brad Hahn continue to want to give to our city. And thank you, Brad, for all you do. And, you know, I am amazed. And actually, you know, people say something, oh, you're my inspiration. To me, well, Brad, you're my inspiration. Because when I get out of council, I hope to continue like you did, being part of our community. Thank you.
I agree.
Yay.
Yay.
My wife's number is 324-7111. She has a different opinion of me because she sees the real me. But no, I really appreciate that, and it's a passion that's was in my DNA, I guess, that to do this, and actually I do this because I'm grateful for what God's done in my own life, and how can I not, you know, share that with other people, and it's a lot of fun actually. And to be in this spot without having to sit through the meetings that you guys have to is really great. But no, I really appreciate that, and I hope that if nothing else, that the example will help other people see that there's really more to it than just the 8 years you spend on the city council. In fact, I was talking to Terry Withrow the other day, just had lunch with him on Monday, and I said, you know, I was all ready if you lost the election to say, okay, here's what your plan is for the rest of your life. You know, you can't give up just because you're not sitting in the seat. So anyway.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from council members? Seeing none, any comments from the public regarding item 32? Seeing none, comments from council members? Oh, sorry, Loretta.
It'd take me an hour and a half to walk down there, but do it anyway. There's something I'd like to know about.
Speak in the mic, would you please, Loretta, so we can hear you.
Speak a little bit
In the
louder.
mic, so we can hear you. Thank you.
Oh, you want to hear me? Well, good, then make him hear where we can hear. Out there, I can hear him like mad. But in here, he barely talks. I don't know why. Okay, what I would seriously like to know, what about for the homeless? Will these places that they will be getting, will this be where they will pay rent prices?
Jessica can respond to that.
Yeah.
So we're looking for affordable housing, and affordable housing is those who pay 30% of their income, and so depending on what their income is, they pay 30% of it.
And then will you have work in all four of the homeless? To where, you know how we have sections to where if they're homeless, they can work, make money on the side, just like the handicapped people do. They're allowed to work and make some money also, or work free of charge for people, just to do work. Do we have anything like that with it? If we don't, why don't we?
All right, I know she can respond to that.
Yes.
I know the answer, so she
So
can.
yes, we do have opportunities for homeless individuals to volunteer and receive a stipend, and we also have opportunities to partner and receive permanent employment as well. So yes, Loretta, they're given both of those opportunities as they move into housing.
All right, thank you. Any other comments from the public? Seeing none, council comments. All right, I'll just make one. Brad Hahn, if Jenny Knoyer said that I was, the fact that she said you're her inspiration, I think that's about
Says a
all
lot.
anyone would need. That says a lot. Because she's mine. All right, so no more council comments. So I have a resolution accepting an update on the 2021 Stanislaus Regional Strategic Plan to address homelessness and approving the direction of the implementation plan. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
Second.
Moved by Councilmember Ricky, seconded by Councilmember Scudia-Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia-Brayton?
Aye.
Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye, that passes 6-0. All right, item 33, consider approving a pilot safe parking program at the parking lot located at 9th and B Streets, APN 106-047-003, for a maximum of 25 vehicles, and authorizing the city manager or his designee to negotiate and execute necessary agreements with the County of Stanislaus, Salvation Army, and Stanislaus Food Products for the use of the site as a safe parking program. Welcome again, Jessica.
Thank you, Mayor, City Council. Jessica Hill, Community Development Manager. I want to start off and give a special thank you to Edgar Garcia, who's really assisted in getting this program to the finish line and made sure that we were actually here tonight for approval. So a little bit of background in what the council's already alluded to so far is there's a significant percentage of individuals who are homeless and living in their vehicles. And police are frequently called out through calls of service of those who are living in their vehicles and parked on private property. So based on this growing need in Modesto, City Council has made this initiative a priority. And in November at the Safety and Communities meeting, they directed staff to move forward vetting locations to establish a safe parking pilot program in Modesto. So once staff was directed, they started looking at different safe parking programs within the state of California. And so we've reviewed items in Sacramento, San Francisco, Mountain View, Alameda, Los Angeles, San Diego, and others. So we are excited to bring forward a 6-month pilot program in partnership with the Salvation Army at the location on 9th and B Streets to offer safe parking, overnight parking for people living in their vehicles. So like I said, we're looking at the Stanislaus Foods parking lot in the corner of 9th and B Street. We're looking to serve up to 25 vehicles where no RVs are allowed. The hours would be 7 to 9 p.m. for entry and then exit by 7 a.m. So as part of the eligibility to be part of the program, they would need to possess a working vehicle, a valid driver's license, current registration, proof of current vehicle insurance. There's a background check that would be given for all program participants. Participants would have to agree to the program rules and then engage in case management services to ensure we continue to move them on to the next step of permanent housing. Part of the rules include no visitors, no food service of any kind on site, no open flames, no generators, but solar or battery power is allowed, no car maintenance or repair, and no outdoor storage such as temporary tents, tarps, etc. So here is kind of a layout of what we have the Safe Park looking at. So some of the needs at the Safe Park and some of the amenities that will be there is there'll be security with cameras, fencing, and security personnel, lighting, water, portable restrooms, garbage, and case management services for all clients. So the anticipated cost of the program is not to exceed $200,000 over the 6-month period of time, and that funding will be covered by the American Rescue Plan Act under the first tranche of funding, and so there will not be an impact to the general fund. So our next steps is ongoing. We're ensuring that if the program's accepted tonight, we ensure that all program details are provided to law enforcement and all our social services providers to ensure that individuals in the community know about this. We are going to continue to collect data from all possible clients to improve case management and connection to services, and also determine what gaps there may be currently in the program. So if this is extended past the 6-month period of time, we'd be able to kind of amend that moving forward. We've engaged with the Stanislaus Community Foundation to create a link for the public for private donations for the ongoing sustainability of the programs. In the next 3 to 5 weeks, the city is currently working with Stanislaus Foods and the County of Stanislaus regarding the operation of the program. And so we're still working out the minor logistics of the contracts, and we expect to bring those to be finalized within the upcoming weeks. And then hope a program launch in late summer. I want to say that the city is continuing to explore a partnership with the county and private partners to look forward, and after that 6-month pilot period of time, to find an ongoing funding sources that could help sustain this moving forward. And with that, I'm happy to answer any questions.
All right, any questions from council? Councilmember Canoyer.
Yes, and thank you, Mayor, for being so diligent now and looking for my little hand. Jessica, is there going to be a limit on how many days someone can access the safe parking?
At this point,
yeah, how many, is it as long as they have to have that, or is there a specific number of days?
so there's not a day limit, Councilmember Canoyer. Each vehicle would have to pre-register, and then once they receive the parking pass, they'd be able to stay there until they have a different place that they can move to.
But is that every day they have to get a new parking pass?
No, once they receive the pass, they're eligible to stay there through however long that they need the time to stay there.
Coming and going, okay.
Correct.
So there's no specific time?
No.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Right, any other questions? Councilmember Ricky.
So one of the things that you mentioned is this is a pilot program. Can you kind of tell me how that looks after the pilot I mean, 6 months isn't very long. How's that going to look? Let's say we get to 5 months and you've learned a lot. What happens next? Because like sometimes with like Moe's, we did something for a while and then it went away. So.
So, Councilmember Ricky, right now is we're looking for ongoing sustainable funding sources to support this program following the 6-month period of time. The hope within the 6-month period of time as well is to continue to collect data on what those individuals need in the Safe Park program to ensure that the Safe Park program is set up the most effective way to serve the most in need as well. So the goal is the goal is to find a sustainable funding source to assist us moving forward. But at this time, none has been identified.
Thank you, that's all I need.
All right, any other questions from council members? All right, we'll open this up to the public. Any comments from council members?
You know what I'm gonna ask, then tell the price, how much is it gonna cost them to be able to support?
Okay, you'll need to speak into the microphone, Loretta.
Don't worry, you guys can hear me in my big loud mouth. How much is it going to cost then for, say I'm homeless, okay, if I want to park there, I can pull in there and park today. How much will it cost me?
Nothing.
Will it cost me anything at all?
No.
If not, why not?
All right. Would you like to respond to that?
So the Safe Park program will not cost anything to the individuals utilizing it. So they will be able to park. We want to offer just a safe place for them to park overnight.
For only 25 cars?
For 25 cars. Thank you.
It's gonna be hard.
Right.
Okay.
Thank you. Any other comments from the public? Questions? All right, sorry. Oh, here we go. Sorry, Emerson Drake.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. From what I heard, though, she said that we haven't identified any funds going forward. But if I'm not mistaken, in the committee meeting the other day, we have ARPA funds somewhat set aside, although the city manager seems to be having a tight hold on those. But aren't those funds designated, at least potentially, for the parking area, if you will? And do we still believe that we're going to be able to get the people that need it the most, being we're holding so many hoops out in front of them? You know, the insurance and all the rest. I understand to an extent why, but it seems to me those that need it the very most are the very ones that we're going to exclude. I'd like to know about the funds, since she said we didn't identify any. And I'd like to know if we really think we can help the people that were by holding up all these hoops. Thank you. I'll wait.
Thanks, Emerson. So for the funding component, the American Rescue Plan Acts are paying for the pilot 6-month program in the tune of $200,000. So following that, that's the funding we had set aside during Tranche 1 of the American Rescue Plan Act funds. In regards to assisting those who are most vulnerable in our community, for this area here, we have partnered with Stanislaus County, Stan Foods, Salvation Army, and the City of Modesto. And through this, 4-party agreement, we've determined that these are the rules and regulations that everyone felt comfortable with launching a pilot program. We hope through this is also to collect the data of what those additional items of why people are being denied. So if the program is something that we can extend past 6 months, we would have the data to support, maybe we don't require registration or registration within 1 month or insurance, within 30 days. So again, this is how we were going to launch the program, and then hoping to collect the data to ensure it's serving those in the community as well.
Thank you, but at the committee meeting, I'll reiterate again, it was specifically pointed out we had set aside some money potentially on the second round of ARPA funding. Why are we not mentioning that, or has that been changed all of a sudden?
So Emerson, I do believe there was there was none specifically set aside for the safe parking program in the Tranche 2.
I don't believe that's true. Okay. But I was at the committee, I was at the committee meeting, they talked about it, they set it aside as part of an 8.4 million that they're not willing to kind of release or hold it in, I don't want to call it escrow, they're holding back. Could someone else speak to that, especially the committee head that was open, I think it was the financial committee that met the other day, talked about it?
All right, let me see if there's somebody that would like to address that from the Finance Committee, if you recall.
Oh, yeah, it's the second round of
Okay,
funding.
all right.
Thank you.
City Manager will address that.
So we set aside money for the various programs that had already been approved. So we couldn't set aside the additional pilot program for safe parking until the item was approved. So there are additional dollars within the year 2 tranche that could potentially be used for this after we're able to collect the data and make the adjustments that are necessary. But obviously we have to look at our fiscal condition for fiscal year 23-24. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I don't find that to be my recall, but unfortunately, we don't record those meetings, so we can't go back and look at them. Thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
Read them.
All right, any other members of the public that would like to comment on item 33? Seeing none, any council comments?
I do have something, Mayor.
Councilmember Scudia Brayton.
Thank you very much. Jessica, once again, thank you, and I applaud you and your team for presenting and moving forward such a dynamic program that's going to help the most disadvantaged in our community. One of the greatest thing of this program, I believe, is the case management aspect of it, because it is going to, with integrity, with sensitivity, help those most disadvantaged, our clients that are parked there every day, and transition them into transitional housing. And that, to me, means even if we get a third of those 25 in transitional housing, I would consider that program a success. So I'm really looking forward to that coming to fruition. And I think it's so creative to partner and collaborate with Stan Community Foundation to establish that link. So people in the community, Joe, Mike, and Steve, who are your neighbors, can go in there and contribute funding to help this program that ultimately helps, just again, a disadvantaged sector of our community. So everyone can chime in and provide support to this program to ensure its success. Again, thank you for all your efforts with this.
All right, Councilmember Ricky.
Thanks, Mayor. I also want to thank Jessica and her team for this. I think that it's really underappreciated the amount of effort that they had to go through to make this happen, and Edgar back in the back too, dealing with multiple entities, keeping our costs down by coordinating expenses with the shelter that already exists, kind of subcontracting supportive services from the Bavarian that already exists with those services. Like, this is just really good thinking and really good use of the people's money, and I don't think that enough magnification is being put on that effort that you guys made. So that was awesome, and I think that this is going to be a good program, and I'm excited for what we learn about it. And I've been like screaming that we need to do something like this for a really long time, and it just means a lot to me when people hear. And I think the community's going to be a better place for it, and so that's why we do this. Thank you.
All right, Councilmember Madrigal.
Just want to follow up on Councilmember Ricky's comments. Also want to thank Jessica and our city staff, everybody involved. And I also want to thank Councilmember Ricky for repeatedly screaming that we need this, because this is, I think, a much needed solution at the local level, at the neighborhood level. I can share that neighbors in West Modesto have complained about vehicles parking in the neighborhood. And I remember there was a person in the neighborhood said, if you don't provide a place for them to go park, then yeah, this is going to continue to happen here in our neighborhood. And so this seems like, a really great initial first step. And hopefully this program will be part of our menu or inventory of local neighborhood solutions to get people to a safe place where they can park, and at the same time make our neighborhood safer as well.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. Any other council comments? All right, I have a resolution approving a pilot safe parking program at the parking lot at 9th and B Streets for a maximum of 25 vehicles, and authorizing the city manager to negotiate and execute necessary agreements with the County of Stanislaus, Salvation Army, and Stanislaus Foods for the use of the site for this pilot safe parking program. Do I have a motion?
Move to approve.
All right, motion by Councilmember Ricky. Second by Councilmember Scudia-Brayton. Will the clerk please call the roll?
Councilmember Ricky?
Aye.
Councilmember Canoyer?
Aye.
Vice Mayor Wright?
Aye.
Councilmember Scudia-Brayton? Aye. Councilmember Madrigal?
Aye.
And Mayor Zwellen.
Aye. Carries 6-0. Thank you very much for your presentation and for attending tonight. Are there any matters too late for the agenda? All right. Seeing none, I'm calling this meeting of the City Council to be adjourned.